Well, thanks for joining us this morning. And Mama V, you look splendid.
Thank you very much.
And Kofi?
Hello, Roland.
Great. We miss Kuja Jansen. Kuja Jansen is in
Paris.
Paris. Is it Paris? No, it's at Toulouse.
It's Paris.
Toulouse. It's in
Okay,
Toulouse.
yeah. But
Toulouse.
okay.
He's in an aeroplane.
Wait,
Airbus.
he's in France. I think that'll help.
And we're waiting for a big story from him. So we'll tell you about a great interview. The Nigerian government apparently has had a space program. You know, they can provide enough food for their people in the rural community, but
we are bringing that debate again. That's a future conversation. Yeah. But right now,
so he has
the biggest story hitting us, I think, from a bit late yesterday, and it will be everywhere today, you can be sure, is that life ban on former GFA president Kwesi Nyantakyi. We're joined by Coach De Grafts to do a bit of analysis. Later on, Benedict and the crew will be here to do other angles to the story. But Coach De Grafts, thank you so much for your time.
Mama V, morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Good morning.
And Roland,
first of all,
good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Your English is sweet.
Coach De Grafts, let's talk about this announcement of a live ban. What does this mean to you?
The life ban, for me, I have a problem with it. Unfortunately, I always say to black people, when you are working in such an area, be very careful, because when you make a mistake, the book is absolutely thrown at you. I knew he would get some kind of a ban, but I think life, for me, I think it's just too much. But having said that, he was indicted for three. I think there was three accusations that he had to answer to. And basically, there's three. If there's one, you might get away with a few years. Two, all right, a few years added on. But, three, that's difficult. Yeah.
So, we've been, the people have been speculating. It means that he can't even watch football. What does all of that mean?
No, that's nonsense. How can they actually stop him from watching football? No. What it is that anything official in football, he cannot be involved in. So he cannot run a football team. Well, it's FIFA. So whether he can do anything else outside FIFA, that's a different thing altogether, because FIFA are not the only organization in the world, football organization, but they are the biggest, the largest organization in the world.
So what I hear you say is he cannot do any football activity related to FIFA.
That's right.
But he can do related to which other grouping?
There is a non-FIFA group. I've forgotten the name at the moment, but there is a non-FIFA group. But they're not big at all. So basically, he can start his own thing as well, as far as I know. But this is a FIFA ban.
But he also owns a football club, All Stars.
Yes, anything to do with All Stars is also out of the question.
As in, he has to give it out?
He has to give it up. Yes, he cannot be involved with any activities with All Stars. If he does, All Stars themselves will be sanctioned.
Can this be overturned?
Well, I think, what it is, this is not final, because he is allowed to appeal, as far as I know. As far as I know, whenever decisions like these are made, the accused, can appeal. So I'm quite sure that this is subject to an appeal. Overturned, I think the best he can wish for is a reduction in the time for which he is being banned. It might be reduced from life to about 25 years or something like that. That they may do. And on top of that is the fine as well, isn't there? There's also a fine. On top of that life ban, there's a fine.
$500,000. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, but I think the whole thing is crazy. You ban him for life because basically, if they had banned him for say 5, 10 years, And then they said, okay, there's also a $500,000 fine on top. Then he may think, well, okay, $500,000. If I pay it in 10 years, I can be back into football. I may be able to, get back into the football business and so forth. But to give a life ban and then $500,000, it's FIFA. Legally, does he have to pay? That's the question I'm asking. Because it's FIFA. It's not a legal, FIFA entity, a club. But when you belong to a club and you don't pay, what can they do? Can they still then take you to court for unpaid fines? That's an interesting side of it. But
so where's this figure, which is really close to 500,000? That's why we're all quoting 500,000. Where is it going to? Is it FIFA? Or is it
FIFA. This is all FIFA. All this live ban and so forth is FIFA. Yeah, it's FIFA.
Has this happened before?
There have been other people banned before, yes. I mean, you've had Sepp Blatter, who was banned for payments to national. I'll just flicked out of my mind for a second. But there was a payment made. And through that payment, they'd wanted to get rid of Sepp Blatter anyway, because Sepp Blatter said that if he had given the FIFA World Cup to, I think in 2022, if he had given it to either USA or UK, he wouldn't be having the problems that he's having now. All right? So he feels that there was some way they were trying to get him. Michel Platini, that's right. There was a payment that Sepp Blatter made to Michel Platini, and apparently they didn't record it. So when the whole thing was discovered, the reason given was, it was a payment for work done. Well, then if it was a payment for work done, why was it not recorded X, Y, and Z? So both of them have received, I think, 5-10 years or something like that ban.
Well, Coach de Graft will have conversations later on. I mean, this is the biggest in the world of football, at least for us. It's making international headlines, so we'll talk a bit more on this. But Roland wants to come in real quick just before you go.
Coach de Graaf,
yes,
good morning.
Roland. Yes.
Now, I know that it's with the person of Kwesi Nyantakyi, but it looks like, if you look at history, to have been the second after the initial gentleman we had during the Nkrumah period. That would be Oparijan or somebody like that, who may have risen to the top of the African game as far as the administration is related. But to FIFA, he's the first. Can this affect the prospect of any other Ghanaian in the future in any other way?
It will. The whole thing is, something you hear from our voice, it's such a shame. Because it's not just the African game, but FIFA itself. He was opening doors in FIFA itself. Because he had become the FIFA representative for Africa. And he was holding posts in FIFA. So it's a massive loss.
Okay.
And unfortunately, keep mentioning the black angle. It's not just Africa. It's black. When a black person of any nationality makes a mistake of this sort, it goes against all black people, unfortunately. So it's a very unfortunate situation for all of us, indeed.
Ohinijan, I should correct myself.
Ohinijan, that's right. Yeah.
Ohinijan.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a very, very, very unfortunate situation for all of us, Roland.
Well, thank you very much for your contribution this morning. But Mama V, it's going to dominate the discussion.
Yes, it is. In fact, right after the headlines, we'll have Benedict and the crew come and do some more analysis on this particular subject. So stay with us. There's still more Kwesi Nyantakyi to come here on the AM show. But let's tell you what's making headlines in the newspapers. We'll start off, Kofi.
The Daily Guide, the front page says Mahama bodyguards on rampage beat up journalist. There's a photograph of the former president, John Dramani Mahama. Germany's Siemens coming, is according to President Akufo-Addo.
Siemens,
they say. Okay. It's a mobile phone that used to be around in the early 2000s, it appears.
Well, they used to do all things, appliances. I remember we used to have a Siemens fridge. Then they went into telecommunications and all that. So they've been around.
So we called it Siemens for like forever.
Yeah, but Siemens. When you listen to a German, they'll tell you Siemens.
Asamoah files for divorce is also on the front page.
It's still gaining prominence.
The Daily Guide, yes. Let's quickly look at that of the Ghanaian Times. The Ghanaian Times front page says President Wu's German conglomerate. His photograph is on the front page. I'm not corrupt, is according to the Ghana Maritime Authority boss. FIFA bans Kwesi Nyantakyi for life, and GRA locks up Surfline offices. At the back page of the Ghanaian Times has this story about $90 million needed to establish new state airline. An international confab on ecological outbreak begins at Jirapa, also on the back page of the Ghanaian Times. The last one will be the Ghanaian Observer. That is the last one for me that has a photograph of Kwesi Parker Wilson. It says Mahama security attacks journalist, and a quote here says, "I went blank and fell." It adds that Thierry Joy FM reporter narrates ordeal. There's also a photograph of Mahama security chief, Major General Samson Adeti. His photograph is attached to the story. And Siemens to establish presence in Ghana soon. Is according to President
Siemens.
Sounds. Yeah. Can we just continue saying the Siemens?
Siemens.
It's English pronunciation.
Toyota is Toyota.
We don't say
Asamoah grabs new wife also been reported by the Ghanaian Observer. And the last one here, FIFA bans Nyantakyi for life.
Yeah.
Grabs new wife. That's the angle of the story.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right, so there's a video. I don't know if you've seen this video of a cute little girl and her father, I think. The father says kindergarten. The little girl said, "No way, it's not kindergarten, it's kindergarten."
And is it in American accent?
Only in America, man. Okay. Kindergarten. All right, let's do the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page of the Graphic. I'll do the Graphic and the Finder. Front page of the Graphic. GES releases academic calendar. First semester single track ends December 22. Green track vacates November 8th. FIFA bans Nyantakyi for life, fined close to $500,000 And Nkwanta Senior High closed down after students' demonstration. Back page, woman battles for life after being set ablaze by sister-in-law. Bizarre. Also, fix footbridges. Residents along Tetekwashi Adenta Highway demand. From the Daily Graphic, we move to the Finder newspaper. Front page of the Finder. Fresh push for RTI bail. Police prevents media coalition from entering Parliament. Majority leader promises November 15 to finish work on the bill. FIFA bans Nyantakyi for life and imposes $500,000 fine. Siemens to establish presence in Ghana soon, according to President. Upgraded new Metro TV hits the road again. Tema residents live in fear over multiple robbery attacks. That's it for what's on the front page of the Finder today.
All right, so let me do a couple of them. I have the Daily Dispatch newspaper. It has on the front page a Akufo-Addo referendum for new regions. Voting will be held in affected areas only. C'est bon? Right, so we have it, front page. Important updates from MPA is on page 3. It's a headline there. Now you go down, it says newly trained doctors cry over delayed postings. I'm talking about doctors. We're having this great breast cancer conversation. We're climaxing the breast cancer month. You can see Mama V in...
We have Auntie Zainab, Roland.
With her pink ribbon.
I'll tell you the history. But Auntie Zainab has survived breast cancer for 12 years.
Wow.
She's in the studio this morning.
Wow.
And we're leaving it out to all of you to call in. We have a specialist also joining us, so they'll be answering all your questions.
But we're playing back.
Yeah, we're playing that conversation. It's just women talking.
At the salon.
Yeah, at the salon, yes.
Wow. But it also affects men.
It does. It sure does.
There's a story I read on the BBC. Yeah. A man said,
well, this is the last day. This is actually the final day of the awareness creation, except that we're pushing for it to be hard, like all year round. Yeah, but the month dedicated for the breast cancer awareness ends today.
It's the awareness that's more important. Now the last story, we're looking at the front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. How stroke can be reversed within 3 hours after attack. Please get all the tidbits in there, but let's get to the back page. The back page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper, apart from giving you details on that story, Akufo-Addo referendum for new regions, voting will be held in affected areas only. We have government handling of KNUST umpires incompetent, according to Jampo. And Ransford Yao Jampo is a professor at the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana. He's a big man.
Okay, so now that you mentioned the KNUST matter, let me read by way of correction information that came through to us yesterday from Professor Osei Kwarteng, who is at the University of Cape Coast, the UCC. And he sent us this message to say that the Chancellor is just a ceremonial head. He does not take part in council meetings. All right, so Professor Kwame Osei Kwarteng sending us this correction.
Well, thanks for the correction,
presentation
Professor.
Yesterday. We're grateful, sir. He's a great historian. Okay, so by way of headlines, Roland, you've done the Statesman.
Yeah, let's look at the Gold Street business. It has on the front page, businesses worried over impending revocation of banking licenses. The Bank of Ghana has shown us a way. If your bank is affected, ultimately, it means that there'll be a transition of your account, consolidated elsewhere. So don't worry, you're safe. World Bank's $35 million boosts land digitization process. Don't know how much money more we can spend and digitizing our land records and land banks, etc. But that'll be it. You've done Statesman. So we'll look at Statesman now. Let's look at the Independent newspaper. Says Delta Force, Invisible Forces, terrorists, not vigilante groups, or Pariado Pablo. He is the new national youth organizer for the NDC. Setback at Parliament House as campaign to get RTI, that's the Right to Information bill, passed, almost thwarted. So those are the stories we have.
I imagine if we said we will not report anything on parliaments, like we all came together and said we won't do any report, we will not host them, we will go blank on them until they pass the bill.
But on the Nyantechi issue, the NDC, they issued a formal statement. They were signed by the national organizer of the party, Kofi Adams. Let me just apprise you of what the contents are. It says the National Democratic Congress has taken note of FIFA's live ban imposed on Mr. Kwesi Nyantechi, the former president of the Ghana Football Association and a close confidant of President Akufo-Addo. And it says this lifetime ban is a result of painstaking investigations conducted by the investigative journalists, they tell us. But they go on subsequently and they say that the NDC are appalled that unlike FIFA, the government of Ghana has made little effort to look into the matter with a view to bringing culpable officials to book, despite available evidence. And the NDC in the statement continues that they find as completely inadequate the purported investigation by the police CID whose conduct has served to compromise any outcome. They encourage and urge the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to open himself up for transparent and credible investigations by an independent body because of the allegations in the utterances of Kwesi Nyantechi during that investigation.
But it's interesting. You are the courts guy. That our own investigations, we haven't even seen top. No briefing, zilch.
Well, this one, FIFA is a body.
Everyone is
an association.
I appreciate that. But if I asked you, Roland Walker, where are we with our investigations?
So far, the police are handling it.
The past 5 months, we've heard FIFA ban Mr. Nyantechi, extend the ban, and ban him for life again. You know, in all these instances.
And find him.
So we're investigating.
They have made it public. That is what we are saying. When people are asking, what is the state of our investigation? They are not asking the police to tell us everything they are doing, but they are asking for some meaningful update. They want to know whether we are still pressing charges against him and all the others, what we are doing about it so far. We've not heard anything. And I think the police service, they are not really helping matters. And that is why when this thing happened, people will ask questions about what we are doing in our own country. And they are fair questions that the Attorney General and the police service should be willing to speak on.
Even though I wish it didn't get, like we don't get political parties stepping into this matter.
Of course.
But this is where we are, right? There's a story on page 3, the Daily Graphic, which I thought you know, because of all the news yesterday, this may have been swallowed, but it's really important. Story filed by Timothy Netbe in Accra says the Nkwanta Senior High School in the Volta region has been closed down temporarily following massive destruction of school properties by some rampaging students of the school last Monday night. The students went on the rampage after some teachers had seized their mobile phones during a roll call in some of the dormitories last Monday. Among the properties vandalized are 3 staff bungalows, 26 motorbikes belonging to teachers, 5 vehicles including a pickup, 2 school buses, a tipper truck, and a car belonging to the Nkwanta Divisional Police Commander. The rampaging students also destroyed the school's water systems and ECG meters, leading to a power outage and the cessation of water supply to the school. In addition, the whiteboards in the classrooms were destroyed by the students. So almost all the male students have deserted the school, while the female students have been confined to their dormitories.
Does the story say anything about the management of the school being maybe dissolved or something?
I haven't seen anything like that, but that's not the end of the story. I mean, there's a lot
I'm
more
just asking because
in
when
the paper.
We've seen
this kind of impunity.
We've seen instances where when students go on rampage, the first thinking is to move in and dissolve council and all the other things that happens. That is what we are talking about. It that when such things happen, you need to deal with individuals who caused the destruction. That should be the first action that must be taken before we talk about how we address the management situation. But it's not the very best. So you have
there are pictures of the destruction, what they've caused in the paper. But we're watching because the KNUST matter is their precedence, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see how government deals with this matter as well. Yeah.
All right, are we done?
We have to do online.
I think the RTI story, I heard the majority leader yesterday saying that, essentially saying that
it's not by force, that they will go according to their pace. That's what he said.
Yes, I was a very bit uncomfortable listening to him. I mean, he should understand why people are making demands for the RTI.
Why?
Even though
why are people making demands?
People feel they will get
sitting here, we're talking about CID. We're talking about where have they got into the investigation?
It should be possible for you to write to
the
CID and ask them for, the status of the investigation.
Any other related government institution too. Yeah. So I think that it's sad that we have not been able to get the RTI pass, and so we don't have the needed information. Often it leads to some level of speculation on stories sometimes, or when they are true, ultimately they get authenticated at the end of the day. But at the time that the story is breaking or we're beginning, they'll keep telling you that you're speculating and all.
All right, let's go online real quick, about a minute, on myjoyonline.com today. Stories we have here. Gangster beaten to death hours after arriving in U.S. prison. A woman who has sex with ghosts is now engaged to one. That will be a ghost. See the world's tallest statue in India. It's twice the Statue of Liberty. Yeah. And it cost a lot of money too. U.S. student writes about Jubilee House internship, praises political affairs director. I want to be an, this is Jubilee House, eh?
Yeah.
It will be bad to be an intern. Islam and Jamal Khashoggi's murder. German former nurse admits killing 100 patients.
That story is very interesting.
This is scary. Korean women are smashing up their makeup to fight beauty norms. I like that. Maritime Authority boss admits holding end-of-year dinner at own hotel. Details there on myjoyonline.com. And if you go to South Africa, one of the biggest news today is the fact that the state broadcaster, the SABC, is laying off workers. Massive job cuts at the SABC, and the unions are fighting this. But we're also told that towards the end of Jacob Zuma's leadership as president of South Africa, he may have made some appointments. And so the SABC is seeking to overturn, to get rid of those people who may not have gotten into the job properly, but they're spending a lot of money paying a lot of people. So lots of issues with the SABC in South Africa.
Okay, and then let's take you international. Go to CNN. You can watch this if we have all the time. It's about giving birth in the U.S. and whether that entitles you to citizenship. That is after Donald Trump decides to change the laws.
We just got breaking news this morning. According to Axios, what the president is talking about doing, he hasn't done it yet, it's one of these things where he's musing, he will do it because he wants us to talk about it, is to do away with birthright citizenship. That's the idea that if you were born in the United States, you are a citizen of the United States. Let me read you what the 14th Amendment says about this. The 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. That's the 14th Amendment. This is what the president wants us to talk about a week before the election. Listen.
Some legal scholars believe you can get rid of birthright citizenship without changing the Constitution.
With an executive order.
Exactly.
Right.
Have you thought about that?
Yes.
Tell me more.
It was always told to me that you needed a constitutional amendment.
Right.
Guess
14th
what?
Amendment.
You don't.
You don't.
Number one, you don't need that. Number two,
I mean, that's in dispute.
You could definitely
That's very much in dispute.
Well, you can definitely do it with an act of Congress, but now they're saying I can do it just with an executive order. Now, how ridiculous. We're the only country in the world where a person comes in, has a baby, and the baby is essentially a citizen of the United States for 85 years with all of those benefits. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it has to end.
Have you talked about that with council?
Yeah, I have.
So where in the process?
It's in the process. It'll happen. With an executive order. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
that's
that's
a very
exactly what I'm
interesting.
talking about.
I didn't think anybody knew that but me. I thought I was the only one.
I love Donald Trump. You know, the midterm elections are coming in a week. And he's using
That
this.
is not our business. This one is our business. You know the number of people who go to the U.S.
Every
to
minute.
go and-
What's funny is he was saying he didn't think anyone knew about what he was planning to do.
Oh, Mr. Trump, that's your Trump moments on the AM show. Yeah.
Well,
all right, but you know about the one of the big stories as well. We've got a royal visit on the 2nd of November. Prince Charles and Camilla are in Ghana. But today, 31st, they're in Gambia. They'll go through Nigeria, and they will be here. This is the channel to watch for all the updates, is the royal visit to Ghana.
please watch the up close and personal shots because if the mother is not around, he will be king.
Yeah.
Please
Yes, that's true.
watch him well. The next king of England.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it. Stay with us. We'll bring you sports. It's a lot of analysis on Kwesi Nyantechi's ban. All angles covered here on AM Sport. After which we will do AM Business, and it's all about the Cosmos Innovation Center. The challenge, the finals, is tomorrow. Details in AM Business.